You know, some feelings are so universal, so fundamentally human, that they can just leap across centuries in an instant. Longing is definitely one of them. And in this breakdown, we're going to see how one of China's absolute greatest poets captured that feeling in just 8 perfect lines, using nothing more than the moon.
Okay, let's just jump right in with the very end of the poem we're looking at today. This question just hangs in the air, you know? It's filled with this desperate kind of hope. So what kind of separation, what kind of pain could possibly lead to a line like this? Well, that's exactly what we're here to figure out.
So here's our plan. We're going to start with the man himself and the unbelievable crisis he was stuck in. Then we'll get into the brilliant, kind of counterintuitive way he actually built this poem. And after that, we'll go through it piece by piece, couplet by couplet, to really see how he builds this incredible emotional world, all leading up to that final, hopeful question.
Right, so to really get the poem, you have to understand the poet's situation. I mean, this isn't just a poem about missing someone. This thing was written from the absolute heart of a national catastrophe, by a man who had lost everything, except his family. And at this moment, he'd lost them too.
Du Fu is, and this is no exaggeration, a giant of Chinese literature. They call him the poet saint, and for very good reason. His work is so deeply connected to what was happening around him, so full of realistic detail and this incredible empathy for everyday people that it's actually called poet history. He wasn't just writing pretty words, he was basically documenting the soul of a nation in crisis.
And this is that crisis. We're talking about the An Lushan Rebellion, a civil war that just tore the mighty Tang Dynasty apart. The capital city, Chang'an, has fallen. Now Du Fu, he manages to get his family to safety in a place called Fuzhou, but then, when he tries to get back to the emperor's new court, he's captured by rebels. So picture it. He's a prisoner of war in the fallen capital, totally cut off. No letters, no messages. The only thing connecting him to his wife and kids is the same moon shining over them hundreds of miles away. That's where this poem comes from.
Okay, so the absolute genius here is how he deals with this problem of being separated. He can't send a letter, there's no way to get a message to his wife. So what does he do? He pulls off this incredible feat of imagination, something we're calling a love letter in reverse.
Seriously, think about that for a second. What would you do? You're a prisoner. Your heart is just aching for your family. You look up at the moon and you just know, they might be looking at it too. How on earth do you bridge that distance? How do you even begin to speak to them?
And this is the genius of the poem. He flips the entire perspective. It's an act of the most profound empathy. He doesn't write, "Here I am in Chang'an, so lonely looking at the moon and thinking of you." No, he writes, "Tonight you are in Fuzhou, and you are looking at this same moon thinking of me." He's projecting his entire consciousness into her room, imagining her sorrow, her long.
Okay, let's get into the poem itself and see how he builds this, line by line. We're going to start with the opening image, which sets the whole scene.
So just listen to the sound of the original for a moment. Line 1, 今夜 Fuzhou yue, and our interpretation, tonight the moon over Fuzhou. Then line 2, 闺中只独看, or in her chamber she gazes alone. See that? Right away, he's not in his prison cell in Chang'an, he's with her. And that's the core technique of the poem right there in action. His body's in one place, but his mind, his heart is somewhere else entirely. The real emotional gut punch of these 2 lines comes down to a single character. Du, it means alone or only. It suggests that while the moon is for everybody, her experience of it right now is completely solitary. And the word tonight is so important too. It separates this specific painful moment from all the past nights they shared and from the future he's desperately hoping for.
So from this image of his wife, all alone, his imagination then widens to include the rest of his family. And this creates a really poignant, almost heartbreaking contrast.
Let's hear the next 2 lines. First in Chinese, 遥恋小儿女, 遥恋小儿女. From afar, I pity my little children. And then line 4, 未解忆长安, 未解忆长安. They don't yet understand missing Chang'an.
The psychology here is just fascinating. Missing Chang'an, of course, that's code. It means missing their father, who's trapped there. But the kids, they're too young to really get it. And their innocence, their inability to understand the full weight of what's happening, makes their mother's deep, knowing sorrow feel even heavier. They can't share her burden, which makes her even more alone in her grief. So his pity, this lian, it's for everyone, for his children's innocence, and for his wife, who has to carry all of this longing by herself.
All right, so from the psychological, Du Fu now moves to the physical. And these next two lines, they might be the most intimate and sensory in the whole poem. He's painting a portrait of his wife with just this astonishing tenderness.
Just listen to how delicate this is. Line 5, 香雾云环湿, fragrant mist dampens her cloud-like hair. And line 6, 清辉玉碧寒, cool light makes her jade arms cold.
So what are these details really telling us? Her hair is damp with mist. Her arms are cold from the moonlight. It means she's been standing outside staring at that moon for a very, very long time. And look at that detail, fragrant mist. The mist itself isn't fragrant. The scent is coming from the perfumed oils in her hair. That is such a personal, loving memory. It's incredible. And the coldness, it's literal, from the damp night, but it's also metaphorical. It's the chill of loneliness. He isn't just imagining her, he's feeling her long wait, her vigil.
And this brings us to the end. After painting this incredibly vivid picture of her solitary pain, he finally allows himself and her a moment of shared hope for the future.
Here is that final question. Line 7, 何时已虚晃? When can we lean on the sheer curtain? And the very last line, 双照泪痕干, lit together, our tear stains dry. The poem ends not with a statement, but with this aching, unresolved question. When?
And really, that contrast just nails the entire journey of the poem. It starts back in line 2 with Du Kan, gazing alone. It ends here in line 8 with the hope of Shuangzhao, the moonlight shining on both of them as a pair. The whole emotional journey, from solitary suffering to this dream of reunion, is captured in that simple shift from alone to together. I mean, that is just an incredible piece of poetic engineering. So in the end, Du Fu actually managed to send his message. It just took over 1,000 years to reach the rest of us. He threw this bottle into the sea of time, filled with his own private sorrow and this incredibly fragile hope. And the fact that we can open it today and feel that same ache, that same deep longing for connection, well, it tells us something really profound about what art can do and about what it really means to be human.